Okay, people, so now we're going to get started with the mix for our sweet potato pies. You are in the kitchen with Stephanie Stevens here in downtown Toronto. And today I am making homemade sweet potato pies. And like I've said in many videos, I do more than just drag. I live my life. I try to live my life as normally as possible, like I normally would. Not made up, because that's how my mother taught us, to try to just be yourself and live your normal life. And that's why we did okay. But anyway, today we're making homemade sweet potato pies for y'all. And y'all can see I have 3 healthy potatoes from No Frills cut up in this pot here. I boiled them for like 30 minutes and added my cinnamon and some cinnamon sugar to the water so it can pre-season the potatoes, okay? So now that we've got our potatoes here, we have 3 healthy potatoes. This will make 2 amazing sweet potato pies and maybe a little bit of sweet potato bread, which I will use like cupcakes. I'm gonna use a cupcake pan tonight for the extra, if there is extra. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So we have our sweet potatoes here. Now, the first thing we're going to do is add our sugar. Now, I eyeball everything. I eyeball everything. So I just put in a healthy amount of sugar. Like, it's usually like a cup and a half of sugar. I eat a lot of sugar, but I don't eat, like sometimes people over sugar things. I put like a cup and a half of sugar. And then to taste. Now, generally, I would put vanilla, a teaspoon of vanilla. But like I said, I eyeball everything. So I just put that amount of vanilla. Then I get a little baking soda, baking powder. As y'all can see, I use everything from Great Value. So I just take a little bit of that baking powder like that, and I put that in. I take a little bit of table salt, because I don't use a lot of salt on anything. About that much salt. Put that in there to taste. Now, I get my cinnamon sugar. Like I said, I eyeball everything. Generally, I just take the top off. Put a healthy amount of cinnamon sugar in there. This is what it's looking like so far, okay? All right, now, I take some of the water that was on the potatoes when I was cooking them, and I just added a little bit of that, of the cinnamon water. Okay. Now, we're going to take flour. Doesn't have to be self-rising flour. It can be all-purpose flour, but I use any flour that's there, either self-rising or all-purpose. This is all-purpose flour. So I just put a little bit of all-purpose flour in, maybe a half a cup of self-rising flour. Okay. Now, I take 2 eggs. I get my eggs out. I get 2 eggs here. I'm sorry, 3 eggs. Okay. Alrighty. And we'll put 4 in just for good measure, because my mother used to use 4. I try not to do too much because I'm one person and I live alone, so I don't need a ton of food. Now, I take a little bit of cream, and I'm going to add this cream to the last bit of this cinnamon water here. Just a little bit, A lot of people use milk. I use cream. My mother used cream. Okay. Now, with that much, we'll just pour that in there. Okay. Now, I don't put nutmeg in mine because I don't like the way nutmeg or allspice taste in sweet potato pies. So this is generally it for me. And as you guys can see, now I'm going to mash these up. Most people would mash them up beforehand. I'm mashing them up as I go. Okay. Oh, the smell in here is delicious. They smell delicious already. And I haven't even gotten started good yet. I have preheated my oven to 200. Okay. Now, see, this is almost the right consistency. I told you I like to eyeball everything. So, y'all see that? It's coming along pretty good, actually. My mother eyeballed everything. She didn't measure nothing. Maybe at work she did, but at home she never measured nothing. She just put it together and it was always delicious. My mother was a fantastic cook. That's probably why. I mean, I didn't cook much growing up. As I got older, and I'm a mature person now. I always think about my budgets. So there we go. So I don't cook a lot of food, and I very rarely eat out. But I cook enough food so it lasts me 2 or 3 days. So you see, this is going to be more than enough for 2 pies. Now, I'm going to put the remainder of the sugar that I have left in it. And then I'm going to give it a little quick taste test. All right. Get it all out. Get it all out. Alrighty. So, now, this is, you could just go with it and just mash it up like this, but I put it in the blender, in my Ninja. Well, anything. and because I want it to be fluffy and nice. So, what I'm going to do while this is sitting here, I'm going to take my no-name pie crust here. Okay, so some of the crust didn't come off the pie, so we're going to fix that for y'all. Okay, because we want the pies to have a nice crust. Just push them back together. And then, let me take this. My mother used to make homemade pie crust. She never used to buy pie crust. She used to make homemade everything, actually. Okay. Picking it off because I wanted to have the pie crust all the way around. Might not happen. So, we'll just have to leave it the way it is. Now, that I have pretty much fixed that and this, these are my pie crusts. You know, Martha Stewart, she would be showing it perfect, right? This is reality, and I live in reality. So generally, I would take a knife And just do this. Poke holes in the crust like this. All the way around in different positions. Like this. Now I'm going to put this into the oven. Right along with the other one. We'll do the same thing with this one. Okay. I'm going to let these pre-cook on 300. Alrighty, so now that we have that in the pie crust in the oven, now here's our pie filling. Those of you out there that are just now joining us, I'm going to do a little taste test just to make sure that we are good to go. Now we need a little more sugar, so we're going to add a little more sugar. Okay. And we need a little more cinnamon. So we're going to add a little more of this. Okay, we're just eyeballing, like I told you, I eyeball everything. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, and I will come back after I have blended all this up and putting them into my pie shells. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on Stephanie Stevens in the kitchen. Today we are making homemade sweet potato pies.